All right, y'all, welcome to the show. So today, I got some new polls for you. Spoiler alert, they're bad for Joe Biden, like every other poll that's come out in the last, 17 years. So we'll talk about that. We also have The View gets into a heated debate, which is interesting, about, supporting Joe Biden and the best candidate to go up against Trump. Joy Reid actually comes out and doubles down on her based hot mic moment when she said, another fucking war. She doesn't back down on that. That's, never in a million years that I think I would enjoy Joy Reid commentary, but she's slowly winning me over by saying some of the things she's been saying recently. And then later on also, we will have the glorious unmasking of so-called moderate Nikki Haley. Of course, she is not at all moderate, and I want to make that crystal clear for everybody. And we'll dive into that. So everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps out massively in the algorithm. It costs you absolutely nothing. And we're trying to get that next plaque, which is going to take a hell of a long time. And so we got to build it one at a time, though. So hook a brother up with a sub. All right, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. So a poll came out the other day, and Trump was beating Biden yet again. I think he was beating him by 5 points in a recent poll. Now, in the average of polls, I believe Trump is up about 2 points on Biden. Now, the reason why that's a big deal is because in recent history, the Democratic president would have to win by 3 or 4 points for the national popular vote in order to win the presidency. Because remember, we go by the Electoral College, not the national popular vote. But Hillary beat Trump and lost the election. Biden beat Trump by 7 million votes and kind of barely won because it all came down to 40,000 or 100,000 votes in the swing states that mattered. So in these polls, Trump's up by about 2 points on average, but more importantly, in those swing states, he's really doing a number on Joe. He's up pretty solidly in 6 of the 7 swing states, and in some of the polls, 7 of the 7 swing states. So it ain't looking good for Joe. Now, having said all that, there's one fact which sort of is an ace up the sleeve for Joe Biden, and I think him and his team know this. In fact, there was some evidence in an article we read the other day that they indeed do know this, that a felony conviction is a game changer. It's a game changer. So when you go issue for issue, honestly, it looks even worse for Joe. When you ask about the economy, when you ask about immigration, when you ask about crime, I mean, you name the issue, and Trump's got a double-digit lead, in some cases over 20 or 30-point lead on various issues. But again, the one game changer could be a criminal conviction for Trump. Now, by the way, Trump himself thinks, yeah, I kind of know I'm going down on at least some of these 91 criminal charges. But it all comes down to the timeline. So anyway, let me show you this clip here. This is on MSNBC. They're talking about this new poll that came out. And here's what they say about how a criminal conviction changes the game for Biden.
We did ask this question, Kristen. If one of these cases this year ends in a conviction, a felony conviction for former President Trump, would that change your vote? 45% said that in that scenario, they vote for Biden. 43% for Trump. This is also something the Biden campaign obviously hoping for, although it's a long history in polling of asking folks about hypotheticals and them actually reacting a little differently when it actually happens.
So 2 things to point out. Number 1, in this scenario, Biden does indeed pull out the victory. Number 2, we're now at the point where if you say, what if he gets convicted of a felony? The numbers they're just 2 points apart. Biden has 45, Trump has 43. Now, why is this concerning to me? It's concerning because you don't have to go back that far for over 60% of the country to say, oh, if he's convicted, I'm done with him. No way. There were polls over 60% say he should basically be taken off the field completely if he's convicted on any felony whatsoever. So there was a time where you bring this up and it's like a 10-point victory in the popular vote for Joe Biden. Now you bring it up, it's only 2 points? 2 points. Guys, I don't want to be too alarmist here, but I'm almost at the point now where I say, if we don't definitely have a conviction before Election Day, I think Biden is toast. I'm not going to say that definitively. I'm not going to pound the gavel here, but I am going to say it almost looks like it's a necessity for homie to even have a chance. That should terrify everybody, man. That should terrify everybody. And of course, the inevitable conclusion is, why the fuck are we not going with literally anybody else? I mean, for the love of God, I've talked a lot of shit about Mayor Pete and Kamala Harris, and I stand by every word I've ever uttered. But at the end of the day, they would even fare a better chance against Donald Trump. And by the way, the opposite is true too, that on the Republican side, if they could somehow get Trump out of the way, Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or literally anybody else would crush Joe Biden. It wouldn't even be close. Nikki Haley's up 13 points on Joe Biden for a general election. So, man, this is the one thing that would be a game changer. Trump knows it would be a game changer. He thinks he's going down. I think the Biden team thinks he's going down as well. But the timeline is everything. Are you actually going to be able to get a conviction before the general election? And that's still up in the air. And that drives me crazy that that's still up in the air. It really does. I mean, for the love of God, we're supposed to have speedy trials in this country. This is anything but speedy. It's the most important issue in the country, anything but speedy. But even given all that, 2-point victory for Biden in that scenario. And you heard Steve Kornacki give the warning. This is something that Crystal has been saying recently as well. This idea of like, yeah, people are saying this is what their reaction would be, but they're notoriously very bad at determining what their reaction would be in some hypothetical scenario you ask them about right now. So in other words, that's like him saying, yeah, they say, the election would flip to Biden in that scenario, but maybe it wouldn't. Which is like, honestly, shame on Biden, man. Shame on Biden. This guy should be so easy to beat. 4 indictments, 91 criminal charges. He says on almost a daily basis insane shit like, let's terminate the Constitution. He's bragging about how authoritarian he'll be, and I'll be a dictator, but only on day one, and all sorts of just lunacy. His main test for people who are going to be in his cabinet is just loyalty. Will you let me get away with whatever the hell I want to get away with and not stop me like previous guys like Bill Barr did? This is what he wants to do. Project 2025 is at the top of his agenda. There's Christian nationalist things in there and white nationalist things in there and like, let's ban pornography and let's totally destroy the entire administrative state. Let's get rid of the clean water rules and clean air rules and let corporations run wild and cut taxes for the rich again. And Trump gave a speech recently at Mar-a-Lago where he was telling an elitist, wealthy audience, I'm going to cut your taxes again. I'm going to cut your taxes again. You can't beat this guy. You shouldn't even need the conviction to defeat him. But he does. Oh, my God. So, anyway, 2 main takeaways from this story. If Trump is convicted, it's a 7-point swing in favor of Biden, and he wins. But it's only a 2-point victory. And so now we're even having the conversation. It's possible even if Trump's convicted, Biden can win. And what are we supposed to do with that, man? What are we supposed to do with that? They haven't listened to any of the warning signs. It should have been a giant warning sign when those polls came out and we learned that Biden has a lower approval rating even than Jimmy Carter did at this point before his reelection when he got clonked. That should have been, look, you can put your ego aside and your narcissism aside for the better of the country in that scenario, or at least he should have done that, but he didn't. And here we are. So, again, I always said 2016, it could never get worse than this. It did. 2020, it'll never get worse than this. It did. And hopefully it's not the same for 2028, but if the trend continues, it will be. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.